Good afternoon, and welcome to the February 12th meeting of the Public Safety Legal Administration Committee. I am Andrea Boone, chair of this committee. To my left is the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. To his left, the Honorable Mary Norwood. To my right, the Honorable Amir Faroki. And to his right, the Honorable Matt Westmoreland, and we do have a quorum. We will be making a slight change to our agenda today. We will change the order of the presentations, beginning with APD, AFRD, and then code enforcement. If there are no objections, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Moved by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis, seconded by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
And we have a motion to adopt the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by the Honorable Dustin Hillis, seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
The 2024 goals and objectives have been distributed to all members for your review. If the committee does not have any more additions, I make a motion to adopt the 2024 PSLA committee goals and objectives. Is made by the Honorable Ms. Westmoreland, seconded by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The 2024 Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee goals and objectives have been adopted.
Today we have 3 public speakers. First on our list is Ms. Henri Jordan, followed by Mr. Jimmy Jones and Ms. Erica Grant. Please come forward.
Giving honor to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they praise it because it is in the power of their hand. Micah 2nd chapter 1st verse. The figure of an oven heated by the baker refers to the schemes of the wicked. James Griff stole my computer and charger out of my house, and that we may be delivered from unreasonable and wicked men. For all men have not faith. 2 Thessalonians 3rd chapter 2nd verse. I had a vision that Officer Peake was introducing me in a meeting in New Cop City. The reason because of the prophecy that is revealed to me that we will be in a problem, that we will need Cop City. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and didst treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Isaiah 33 chapter 1st verse. When you practice spoiling and treachery, do you embrace these actions to rule over you? I saw an enemy ruling over America, and they asked me to place you in bondage. Then I asked the Lord, should I? And the Lord said, because they practice bondage over me and others, and base things of the world, and things which are despised had God chosen. Yea, and things which have not, to bring to naught things that are. 1 Corinthians 1st chapter 28 verse. God has chosen me. His election by God is designed to silence the wisdom of man. Jesus revealed to me that the homeless call on Jesus has a deliverance plan for us. He chooses the foolish to shame the wise. James Griff appear wise in the eyes of the flesh. I speak this because I try to speak what God tells me to speak. Some things you don't want to happen to it, but because of man's action. And God created man. He didn't create himself. And that's when we are subject to the word of God, the will of Christ, and our own souls and other people's souls, because you have leadership abilities that Christ has given you. Plus, you promise to fight for justice and for righteousness. That's when you're in your position because you chose that choice. And we got to fight to do right, not to do wrong. Because the wages of sin is death. It's a promise from God. His word said it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. Jimmy Jones.
Good morning. I need you guys' attention because I reach out to you guys and I don't get a response. There's only one person that I don't see today that I get a response from, that's Ms. Waits. The Sex Trafficking Month was just a month ago. I don't know what you guys covered, but I create intellectual properties. I have a software that needs to be integrated into the process, the matriculation of women coming into this industry. They never asked the question of being trafficked. We created a query of 41 questionnaire by way of software. We have the data analytic people and the technicians to implement. I made calls to the public safety sector. I haven't got any response. I have something to proffer. This is not the platform. I tried to communicate with a couple of people by way via telephone. Nobody was able to get in touch with me. I say I need your attention if you don't mind. We're dealing with women. You guys eat from that sector of enterprise. It's a tax-based growth that comes through the permit system. What we're trying to do is not generate money from these women only, but to provide a protection for these women because they're not being protected. Women are being trafficked in the strip clubs in the city of Atlanta. It's top 5 in the nation, and we have an answer. We have a result. We need resolution, period. We need resolution. Unless you guys just sit back and say, hey, that's at the enterprise because it's going in your pocket. Every time they buy a permit, you get whatever it is, a decimal of it. So I have the answer. I've been up here before. I'm tired of talking. I have a resolution. All right? So whoever wants to communicate with me, my name is Jimmy Jones. I'm going to call everyone aloud. I'm going to call everyone. I'm going to call Ms. Lamar. I'm going to call everybody. Boone. I'm going to call everybody. We need to set up for you can see what I got going on. This is obviously not the platform. I came in the rain. This is serious. Sex trafficking is a hub here. It's not in the streets no more. You guys did a great job killing that. It's not cyber. The vice president did a great job doing that, created a list back page. Right now it's being facilitated in the club. People don't come here for the Seaquarium. They come here for the strip club. They come here for the nightlife. So you're trying to regulate the nightlife, but you forget about that sector. I didn't forget. So what I'm telling you, everybody who has a daughter, everybody who's adequately engaging in administration, you have to be abroad. For the people, by the people. I'm the voice. When God wants to change the situation, the circumstance, he changes a person. So here I am. I know the streets. I know that industry. Those questions will facilitate the answers that people need to know before they give them a permit and send them into that dark sector enterprise that's regulated. First Amendment, you do what you want to do. You want to dance, you want to dance. But you guys have a duty to protect these women when they're coming into this industry. So my name is Jimmy Jones once again. I would love somebody to be like Ms. Waits and jump up and say, hey, meet me in the hallway. But you guys got a job to do. And once you see what I got going on, you'll understand that it's easily implemented and matriculated to these women. When they come, you know that they're not being brought from another state to be trafficked, that their mental health is okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Ms. Erica Grant. Ms. Erica Grant. Okay, we will move on to our presentations at this time. We will take Atlanta Police Department Chief Darren Sherbaum. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the Public Safety Committee. Appreciate your service to our great Atlanta and the men and women that protected in the police department. I want to start by acknowledging the Black History Month here across the country, but you will notice that officers are patrolling your districts, maybe at your community meetings, maybe wearing a different patch for the month. We did authorize a commemorative Atlanta APD patch for Black History Month, which I'm sporting today, and you'll see a number of our officers doing so. We are proud of the heritage that we stand upon, and I always want to acknowledge the 8 first African-American officers that walked through the door of this department in 1949 that laid the groundwork for diversity and integrity of the law. I'm going to start through the presentation, which is the quarterly. Some of it will be, this slide you saw last time I was here as we were noting the crime reductions in 2023, which would not have been possible without the support of this body and many citizens across the city. Always want to note the reduction that we've seen around violent crime. There's 2 areas that we were vexed with last year. One was the theft of Kias and Hyundais. So I am proud to report that this weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Greenbrier Mall, right where the former Macy's used to be, there will be a free pop-up shop that will be occurring for any citizen of Atlanta that owns a Hyundai, drives a Hyundai, to go there to get the patch free of charge. And so the Atlanta Police Department, our partners at the Community Policing Section, will be there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That is Friday and Saturday. And then on Sunday from 8 till 2 p.m. we will be at that location. So if anyone in your district, anyone that works in the city would like to come to that location, get the patch, it should not take too long. We'll get them on their way to continue enjoying what I hope is a beautiful weekend. So if you could help us promote that. That is the highest crime category we had last year because of the vulnerability that Kias and Hyundais have. And we've been working by passing out the clubs in many of your districts. We've had 1 pop-up for Kias, and now this is the 2nd pop-up that it will be occurring. So 3 days, convenient hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Please come out and get that patch to help reduce crime right here in the city. I think as council members, each of you are always concerned about homicides that may occur in your district. Just to recap this from last time, escalating disputes continue to be the #1 reason a citizen loses their life here in Atlanta, Georgia. This past weekend, we certainly saw it with brothers fighting. And so we continue to ask everyone to do their part to interject civility around interactions you may have with anyone. This is where schools and youth programs and civic organizations all have a role in reducing violence in this city or any other city by focusing on escalating disputes. This police department will be aggressively pursuing robberies and narcotics as we continue to do, but the area we cannot be is your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen table. It's just not where the police department should be. And so they're asking everyone's help to be able to curtail those escalating disputes that lead to gun violence right here in the city. We also want to acknowledge the work that's been done through the solicitor's office, through code enforcement, and many other city agencies to be able to target the apartment areas where we see crimes occurring in apartments, making sure we're investing in good lighting, making sure we're investing in cameras, as well as other infrastructure upgrades to make those areas as safe as they can be. This police department has a responsibility to fight gangs, guns, and drugs. That is where our focus is. That is what we can influence the best. I want to highlight these numbers from last year that was done by the men and women of your police department. And this is everyone. This is the officers, the investigators, the 911 call taker and dispatcher, code enforcement, crime scene techs, GCIC technicians. There's many men and women that we don't get to see every day that may not be wearing a uniform that help make the city safe. Last year, we removed 3,197 firearms from the streets of the city by people that should not be possessing them or in dangerous environments. 477 of those weapons were stolen, 143 of them were rifles and shotguns, and 33 were ghost guns, meaning they were manufactured in a manner that they could not be tracked by law enforcement or cannot be tracked back to certain crimes. And this is an area we continue to work with our federal partners to make sure when we encounter individuals that have a ghost gun, they are aggressively prosecuted and those are tracked back. We also worked last year to remove the triggers off of the street that makes a weapon fully automatic. We know this year the General Assembly will be considering legislation to make that a state offense. Because it is a federal offense only, we no longer have the ability to charge that in a superior court here in Fulton County. And so we are lobbying our legislators next door into the Go Dome to make those devices illegal. That takes a normal firearm and makes it fully automatic. That is something that we need back in our toolkit. A recent judicial ruling said we could no longer charge that offense. And so the General Assembly being able to address that gap, which I would call it, would be certainly beneficial. I also want to note the number of gang charges that we brought last year. One of the previous speakers just mentioned human trafficking. We have been aggressively fighting the gangs right here in Fulton County and the region because they do engage in human trafficking, in drug dealing, in gun running, and in robberies throughout the area. This past year, investigators of this department charged 140 gang members with 600 separate gang charges where we could show a judge that that individual was engaging, using their membership in a gang to bring harm to the various communities of Atlanta. That was one of the reasons we're able to see a reduction. And then the drug dealing, and I appreciate the council members who pass along tips to us. Every 5th day last year, we shut down a drug dealing operation right here in the city. Many of those guns that I just mentioned, the 3,197, came out of a drug dealing operation. And Councilmember Norwood, in your district, narcotics was the #1 motivator for a homicide. You were the only district where an escalating dispute was not the #1 motivator. So I think it's interesting to know why narcotics is important in that. So, sorry, thank you, ma'am. I hadn't noticed you had stood up as I was starting to talk. I was looking out for my notes. I was not calling you out, ma'am. All right, very good. Throughout the course of the year, it is important that law enforcement doesn't just cast broad nets. It's important that we use a laser to go into areas where we know individuals are causing harm and there's certain geographic motivators. During the 3rd quarter of last year, we enacted Operation Deep Freeze, where we worked with our partners at the state level, at the federal level, and regionally to go into certain areas we knew individuals were possessing guns, and many times they were in open conflict with each other. If you look to the right side of the screen, you will see those agencies that joined us in that area. During those operations, and we did 6 in the 3rd quarter, we made 87 arrests, took 67 firearms out of the hands of very dangerous individuals. And I want to note that every one of those arrests happened with no harm coming to an officer or the individual that we were striving to arrest or anyone close by. 34 of them were documented gang members at the time we arrested them. 13 additional charges followed. And then our federal partners indicted 5 of them to be able to continue their prosecution in federal court. So these are details which were key to the reductions that we were able to influence last year. They will continue throughout 2024 under the leadership of our Violent Crime Reduction Section. And we want to always thank everyone that comes to our public safety headquarters for each of these details to help keep our city safe. And if you look at that table where the crossbow was on, we actually were following this individual who was threatening another person, and we knew that there was a potential there could be a gun battle anywhere in the region, but certainly in our city, and we were able to get those guns before they could be used in that dispute. That speaks back to our civilian analyst. We added civilian analysts starting 2 years ago to the department's crime fighting mission, and that we've grown that thanks to the support of the administration and this body. They have been key. So when I say it's not always the uniform that you see that's keeping Atlanta safe, there are so many civilian members of this department that do not always get the recognition that they deserve, that is working to keep Atlanta free from the firearm epidemic that is so present in our country. I want to always highlight repeat offenders. Thank to all of you that serve on the Repeat Offender Commission and support that initiative. This is just an overview last year of how many repeat offenders that we arrested. And remember, to be a repeat offender, you have to have been convicted of a felony 3 or more times. It's not an easy bar to get to. But last year, officers of this department and our investigators arrested 1,021 individuals that were active in our communities, that were committing crimes at the time that we engaged them. The average age of that offender was 43. The average number of arrests, previous arrests of that individual was 30, and 6 felony convictions for each that we took into custody. If you look on that screen, all those individuals, 1,021 of them, had together 36,316 previous arrests in our criminal justice system. That is just misdemeanors and felonies. That is not city ordinance violations, and had 7,391 felonies among them. Now, the box we wanted to highlight is because of the work of the Repeat Offender Commission, where we quickly get in the hands of prosecutors and judges the history of this person that may not be there for a variety of reasons. Are they being given an appropriate bail or being held? And you can see in that box that we're starting to see a higher number of individuals being kept to stand trial, particularly among the most violent areas such as robbery, homicide, as well as aggravated assault and then possessing of firearms. And so I want to make sure we continue to work with the Repeat Offender Commission, who recently moved into new offices in Midtown, and continue to work closely with the district attorney, the county solicitor, as well as the sheriff of Fulton County. I want to highlight a few other areas of the police department that we don't always talk about. All this good work would not be occurring if it weren't for men and women willing to go out and do the work. So last year, we graduated 103 recruits from 6 academy classes that moved through. We graduated a class every other month. And I want to thank everyone that joined us. We recruit literally from across the country, and we love seeing the diversity moving into the police department and all those that are at our academy. But that is just one part of our training. Each of our officers moves every year through reoccurring training. specialized classes to make sure that we're staying optimal. I always want to take this point to note that the state of Georgia currently has a minimum training standard, about 10 weeks and 2 days, but your officers, when you take their field training as well as their academy-based training, will train 35 weeks. Before we assign them to a precinct, before they enter their probationary period. It is important for us to recognize that we're not just going to armed robberies. We will go to many, many more persons in a mental health crisis than we will ever go to an armed robbery. We will go to car accidents more often than we go to an active shooter, to make sure those officers have the basic amount of training that is proper to be able to serve citizens of your district, visitors to our city. And we will continue to invest in their training throughout the time to see that evolve, to make sure that they are effective in what they do. Our field training officers are key to the success of this department. After the 23 weeks in the academy, then they move to 12 weeks of field training. And officers ride just alongside them, making sure that they are working very hard in that area and properly getting the training they need. Well, another reason I wanted to highlight this is you all approved our Axon contract a few months back. We're digitizing a lot of areas of the department that up until this point had been paper. Internal affairs packages, use of force packages, that has all been paid for years. That is going away. It's becoming digitized on a standardized platform. Our field training program is now moving to that area as well, so we can immediately see trends within the field training that need to be focused on, individuals that may need to come back for additional training before they proceed to their precinct assignment, or those that may not be conducive to their profession. So very proud to see that the progress of bringing technology in the police department is making us better at what we do and trusted within the community. I want to note some hiring numbers here. Last year, 219 individuals accepted an offer to protect Atlanta, Georgia, and we are proud of that. And then 51 civilians came on board last year. This is in our code enforcement section. This is in our GCIC. This is at our crime scene tax. This is over at 911. We would not be the department that we are without our civilians that are working closely with us. These numbers are very encouraging. We want to ask everyone to be a recruiter for this profession. We are hiring in all of our areas of the department, so if someone who's listening to this committee, watching it, has a desire to serve and be in a profession that you never have to worry, did I make a difference today or this week or this month, public safety is the place to do that. And we want to encourage everyone to join us on the Atlanta Police Department. I'm also encouraged by this. When the mayor took office, over 70% of our patrol vehicles were past life service. And also, the number one reason people gave on an exit interview why they were leaving the Atlanta Police Department is a take-home car program, because many agencies around us. Last year, we purchased 361 vehicles. 113 of them last year were assigned out to officers who live in the city of Atlanta. 33 of them were assigned to precincts. And we continue to get those out every month. Just in the month of January alone, we had 42 vehicles that were assigned as well to add to this number. So we've never been in a position where we are straining the capacity of the outfitters to provide them. But as soon as they get here, they are going to neighborhoods in your district. They are going to key units that are called back at a moment's notice, and they are certainly advancing the safety of our city. Now, I will take note that on this Saturday, we had a group that has expressed their opposition to the Public Safety Training Center to set fire to one of these vehicles. That was parked outside of the home of an officer that says, I'm going to live in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the principles of 21st century policing is the officers should live in the communities they protect whenever possible. And we have been on a concerted effort to ask our officers not only to rent in Atlanta, Georgia, but to buy homes right here in Atlanta, buy homes in each of your districts, be connected with the community. And it was this group that chose to target one of those officers on Saturday morning by setting his police vehicle on fire. That is an $80,000 price tag right back to the citizens of Atlanta, Georgia. They claimed responsibility for that price tag, and at the same time, they claimed responsibility for making that entire neighborhood feel less safe. They claimed responsibility for trying to force an Atlanta police officer out of the city that he loves, where he's putting his children into the school district. And I want to again condemn this type of action. We have places you stand to make your voice heard. When you're opposed to something, you want your elected officials to reconsider something to be heard. But to making this city less safe by setting a police car on fire, the same police car that will go to protect the Pride Parade, the Peachtree Road Race, the Dragon Con Parade, the same police car that will go out on 12-hour shifts when we're inviting hundreds of thousands to our city, the same police car that goes to a person that doesn't have a penny in their bank account, but they deserve the dignity and the protection of the law. That's what was attacked this weekend. This past week, the ATF, the FBI, the Atlanta Police Department, and the GBI began a series of search warrants being served at locations we believe have connection to these arsons. These arsons are not going to continue. The individuals that are committing these arsons will be arrested. They will be placed before a judge. And I want to assure this body that has the responsibility of oversight of public safety in Atlanta, we are not going to stop in this endeavor. The fire chief is in the room. His team has been instrumental in identifying the arsonist, and a key arrest was made last week. This is something that will stop, ladies and gentlemen, and I really hope others will condemn this action that is an attack on every one of our neighborhoods here in Atlanta. 2 new helicopters joined us this past quarter as well. We use these assets for a range of issues, mainly like around crime fighting, when we have fleeing felons in the city, when we may believe it's unsafe for patrol cars to join in a pursuit. These assets will be above and over that area. We use these assets to protect every single parade that occurs, every festival that occurs, but you also see them out when we have a lost child, and you see them out throughout the city when we have an at-risk adult who has wandered from home. So we're very appreciative of the mayor and this body for adding to these assets. We are a first-class city that just learned we're going to host 8 World Cup champion games right here in our city. One of them, the semifinals. I think there's only one other city that got 8, if I remember correctly. But the only reason we're able to successfully bid for those types of distinctions and bring great events to our city is if we have the public safety infrastructure to be able to ensure its safety while it is here. I'm going to close with a number of events done by our department. It's not always about fighting crime. It's about building trust. And throughout the final quarter of the year, we went through a number of initiatives that we just have a few here on the screen. We had 4 Citizens Police Academies that graduated last year. Our college intern program was up and running, and we get about 4 or 5 of those interns every year that return to actually join the police department as a sworn or civilian member of the police agency. In addition to the interns, we had our 45th annual retiree roundup. We celebrated Bring Your Kids to Work Day with Atlanta Fire Rescue, when 75 children whose mom and dad protects Atlanta, Georgia, either on the fire department or the police department, were here. We were very proud of that. Our National Night Out, which we were in many of your districts for that. Our Faith in Blue, our Adopt a Cop, our 4th annual Hispanic Christmas toy giveaway occurred. Many events were occurring, and that's just a few all throughout the year to make us a trusted police department. We can go out and fight crime all day long, but if we're not trusted, we have not properly met the expectations of our citizens. And then finally, we ended the year with 20,037 cameras that were registered, 18,086 that were integrated. That was a significant jump over the beginning of the year. That is 8,000 more than we started the year with. So when we look at crime reduction, safety in the city, cameras and license plate readers matter. So every time you promote that, if you put it up on your digital programming that you put out to your constituents, anything that you may mail to them, please put Connect Atlanta on there. It's been a key tool for us keeping our great city safe. And so, Madam Chair, that is my presentation today. I apologize if I went slightly over, but certainly open for any questions you or members of the body may have.
Thank you, Chief. We have been joined by the Honorable Antonio Lewis and the Honorable Michael Julian Bond. We have 2 members that are wishing to speak at this moment. Amir Faroki.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. And thank you, Chief Schierbaum. I had a few questions that I just jotted down as you went through your presentation. The first slide, citywide crime data 2023, 1, a clarifying question, and then 2, an actual question. The first column, year to date, I assume that's not year to date 2024, but that is the calendar year 2023 crime data. The previous year to date column is 2022, is that
That's
right?
correct. So that was the conclusion of last year. That was the end of the 4th quarter.
Okay.
That's correct.
Motor vehicle theft, obviously the big jump, 61%. You hinted at or intimated that a lot of that is the Kia Hyundai phenomenon. Is it possible, you don't have to tell me now because I'm sure you don't know, but for 2022 and 2023, the actual number of auto thefts that were Kia and Hyundai, I'm curious if that jump is 100% Kia Hyundai? Is it 50% Kia Hyundai? Is there just a general trend for more car thefts, irrespective of the Kia Hyundai phenomenon? So if you could provide that proportion, it'd be helpful.
Yeah, we have that, and of course, I'm going to have to walk. If I remember correctly, it had our rate of auto theft stayed exactly the same for the previous year. Our crime in the city would have been down 6%. overall in the city, had it just stayed the same as the previous year. Kia and Hyundai will be the biggest chunk of that, the biggest chunk. Once that video went viral, and everyone learned what, I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to contribute even to one more, but if a certain tool could be used to steal the car, it could be done, and it's continuing. And we're starting to see the manufacturer now to get ahead of that, and we hope to see that influence our trends this year. We'll get that for you, Councilmember.
Thank you. Second slide, the homicide breakdown by zone. I assume those numbers, that's for calendar year 2023, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next slide was on the gangs, guns, and drugs, 2023, 3,200 guns recovered in 2023. What happens to those guns? What are you permitted and not permitted to do with them once they're confiscated?
So they remained in the custody of the city
For how long?
forever.
Forever. They're never destroyed, never sold. I know some jurisdictions sell them. We just hold them. We just have a warehouse where they get held.
That's correct, sir.
How big is this warehouse?
As big as we need it to be.
Okay. I'm just curious what.
There's a state law that prohibits them being destroyed, sir.
Okay, that's what I was
And
thinking
while
of.
some jurisdictions may respond to that law by selling them, this administration, as has previous administrations, has opted to retain those weapons.
Given that we're preempted by state law from selling them, I think that's the right decision, so I appreciate that clarity. I think I have one more question. This was I don't know the slide number, but it's the one with the icon of the number of police who were
Yes, sir.
hired this year. It says 219 officers accepted offers, 6,500 applications were received. How many offers were given?
I will look and see, sir. I know generally it takes almost 5. I mean, we'll get that for you. We try to get back to you before someone else does. I'll let you know who made another jurisdiction got there. We still continue to do very well, being quicker to call back, quicker to get them here. I can tell you these numbers were very good compared to some of the other cities I speak with. We're happy with them. We know we ended last year with more officers than we started with, which will be the first year in a number of years that was the case. But I'll get you the number that was offered, but they may have taken another job between then, which that's what we have to be very mindful of. Everyone needs police officers right now. And so as we adjust in our background recruitment to be quicker than everyone else, more engaging than everyone else, we want to keep shrinking that number.
I asked, I'm just curious how many offers we have to make in order to get a certain number of acceptances.
Certainly.
Because I know it's a competitive market, and we're arguably an attractive destination for a lot of burgeoning police officers. They want to work in a big city, but there's Princeton needs 1,000 students. They can accept 1,500 to get 1,000 students, but some other schools may need to accept 10,000 kids to get 1,000 students, right? The same applies in this kind of. I'm just kind of curious how many offers we put out there and what our acceptance rate is and what we learn from the folks who don't say yes.
I should have had that ready to go for you, sir, and I'll get that back to the body. I can tell you that we are working to be very competitive. The take-home car program is starting to change things. The modification of our salaries, which has to always be at the forefront, is there. The building of the Public Safety Training Center. But people, when I go around the room, every other Thursday we welcome the new hires from the department. We always ask, why did you pick Atlanta? We get the diversity and the energy of the city a lot. People tend to start falling in love with the city, and then they find their way to us. We are going to be doing more work this year in the lateral program, actually going for individuals that already work in law enforcement. That way we can have a better job of saying, do you fit the mold of what we need here? We're excited about that initiative that will be rolling out this year.
Thank you, Chief. That's all I have.
Councilmember Antonio Lewis.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chief. I think I'll start off with the same question I've been asking every presentation, and that will be around the GBI and APD officer-involved shootings. That'd be around the GBI and officer-involved shootings. I think this wasn't on. I've been asking this consistently for a while now on APD and GBI involved officer shootings on the release of the footage. Do we have a timeline, guidelines on that yet? And also do we have guidelines on what the timeline looks like now? Because we requested that they give us a timeline.
Certainly.
In one meeting.
So Yes, Councilmember. This is obviously, as you know, as a case-by-case basis. So one time frame may be very much truncated in one occurrence and maybe not on the other. We did get a commitment from the district attorney, as well from the GBI, to review it at regular intervals. And I don't have it in front of me. I believe it's 90 days, but let me get back with you. Because we do follow the best practices under the 21st century policing principles that says no agency should investigate their own officer-involved shootings. They should allow another agency to do that. We're fortunate the GBI does, but after the GBI does their investigation, it goes to the district attorney, who will make a decision whether it should be prosecuting. And so we want to make sure we work closely with them so they in no way come back and say a premature release of the video allowed us not to go to trial in this case, or it allowed us not to hold someone accountable that they felt should be held accountable. I believe the commitment is every 90 days they will review. And at the end of that 90 days, if they feel that it is ready for release, they will let us know. And of course, Councilmember Lewis, we will get it out as soon as our partners have green-lighted its appropriate release.
Next question I had was, it was on a page, on the homicide page, to see Zone 3 at 38. Is there a plan to, my entire district sits in Zone 3. I know it covers more than just my district, but is there a plan to help Zone 3? Is there a plan to decrease the homicide rate in Zone 3?
Yes, sir. If you go to the slide on operation, the next operation, if you just go to 2 slides up, sir, you will see an overview of Operation Deep Freeze. There was only one zone that did not see a reduction in our homicides last year. That was Zone 4. Your zone, your district actually saw a reduction in its homicide, but we're not happy with a reduction. I'm certainly not happy with 38. So what you will be seeing occurring in your zone is more operations that are focused. Operation Deep Freeze took us to areas in your district that the evidence showed us were likely to see someone pulling a trigger. Operation Deep Freeze took us to areas in your district that showed us there were individuals out on bail, wanted on a warrant, actively involved in a gang conflict that were posing a risk to your constituents. We go to those areas, we use the law to be able to make arrests where it's appropriate and to take guns off the street. So the initiative you see where we took that 67 guns and made 87 arrests, that is very active in your district because we go where that takes us. What's also active in your district is addressing the property owners at apartment complexes and convenience stores that are not good managers and being stewards in the community. So we are going after individuals that have illegal gambling, individuals that are selling alcohol illegally, that draws an element in, that increases crime, and working with your apartment managers to make sure they are doing everything they can do. The other initiative we have underway is expedited evictions. When evictions are related to criminal activity, the courts of the magistrate court as well as the marshal is working with us to expedite those evictions when it is a person that's not behind on their rent, sir, but is a person that poses a threat because of crime and violence to the community. So those efforts that brought a reduction last year in homicides in your district will continue to work until we drive that down.
Thank you. Two more things. So I know I've been working with I've been meeting with Peter Amon and for a while about 3 different things. And I know these 3 different things are progressive policing ways, and they would help the entire city of Atlanta. So I want to bring them here because I don't know if they're coming out yet. I want to ask you if you have updates on gun lock boxes first, on the police cars that we're not using, being able to use them in a different way, or if you know about that conversation I'm having with him. And lastly, on tracing guns that young people have.
So yes, I can give you updates on all 3 of those. Lock boxes, as you know, we were secured through a grant, and I know that's important to get those out. There was a recall on the company we went with to recall those lock boxes, so we're having to find a different vendor and reorder them. Once those lock boxes are received, they'll be being pushed out. You know, police cars, there was a request, police cars not in use, can we just park them and leaving them? We had a police car parked and left in front of a house that was set on fire on Saturday. And I spent a lot of time Saturday with my command team determining where we were going to put our vehicles this week to make sure others didn't get set on fire. And I would like to tell you right now, there was an environment we could just put police cars where we need to. We're going to continue to protect all of District 12. But right now we have individuals that are looking for stop police cars to set them on fire. And that causes me to have to push pause on any initiative to park vehicles in those areas. So as soon as the environment is where we can do that, we'll be back looking at it. We do like to put actual officers in communities because when our officers are there, they're able to build bonds and relationships, and they're able to actually know the people they're protecting. So we will continue to look at, can we put physical assets there? But my goal is to get more officers living in District 12, more officers renting in District 12, and more officers on patrol in District 12. So it's actually a person that is building that bond with your constituents. But we will keep looking at vehicles being placed at certain places.
I think the request is on police cars. I know what the presence of the police car would do, I know what the presence of the police cars would do in the community. I was asking for that before police cars started getting caught on fire.
Right.
That's why I'm asking you in public now about it.
But we're going to continue to explore that, Councilmember. And then the last one was?
On the tracing of guns. In other cities, they've already looked at progressive ways to get guns out of the hands of young people and keep them out of young people. And that way is when you capture a young person with a gun, and if a person is caught, you don't release him until that person actually tells you where they got that gun from. And that's something I've been trying to work to get instituted right here in the city of Atlanta to get some guns off the street. I'm just wondering, what do we got to do to move that forward?
So that would have to be an action of our legislator, Councilmember. We are not allowed to keep people incarcerated because they don't provide information to us. And so if the law is going to be changed to allow that to be in place, that would be way beyond our role, nor should we be doing that. But the General Assembly would have to address is their ability to do that. But right now, keeping someone incarcerated because they fail to answer a question or cooperate with police is not something that we're equipped with.
Thank you for answering that. And last, on the guidelines that you released on not arresting citizens who don't sign citations, where are we at on being specific? After our conversation, where are you on getting that out to make sure that all officers know that?
Yes, sir.
It got to be something going on with this. Yeah, where are we on? See, I did that. Yep. Where are we on? Yep.
So, Councilmember, we
Shout
have
out it.
1,600 sworn members of the department. Every one of them has to know what you and I know, which is if a citizen has the ability to be released with a signature on a traffic citation and they decline to do so, that they should be released writing the word refused in there. When that was changed, we informed the entire department through video. We've informed the entire department through focused roll calls. But the challenge we run into, if you're out on FMLA, if you've been in the military, if you've been out sick, if you've been out vacation, we can miss somebody. And so last week, we started reemphasizing that. There's an entire week where at every roll call is being given to the officers. We have redistributed the video, and we've required every officer to sign for it. And it will be a portion of our weekly COBRA meetings that we're assessing that issue. And so we want to make sure that 1,600 employees of this department know that and know that it's part of how we protect Atlanta.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Vice Chair Dustin Hillis.
Thank you, Chairwoman Boone. Thank you, Chief. Just a few questions, a couple on some items you touched on, and then a few other items. First, one of the pages talked about the 361 vehicles purchased. What is the time frame of that? Is that last quarter or is that last year?
That was last year, sir.
Okay. And have all of those 361 been received? I know we're continuing to have issues with outfitting. How many are pending outfitting?
Outfitting is the choke point, and we're working with vendors. We've added another vendor that has been productive. And so, as I said, we had 40 last month. So we're seeing them get caught up, and we're seeing them turn them out much more quickly. And so I would anticipate by the time we get to the end of the second quarter, we should have the vast majority of them deployed, but getting down to a very handful.
I think it may have been on the slide, but I know the initial was, I believe, 40 for the take-home program. How many are total are in the
So, yeah,
program?
that was 30-some, sir, that was assigned to precincts. We were well over 100 in the take-home car program. So every month that the vehicles arrive, a certain percentage go to the take-home car program, and a certain percentage go to the precincts as loaner cars or a special details unit. But we're probably now at this point getting close to 140, 150 take-home cars.
Awesome. What is the timeline for this, you didn't touch on it, but the citizen response unit, deployment of that unit and building that unit up?
Certainly, we have 2 individuals in training. You will see them out on the street of their new vehicles. If you look at our social media, you can see those vehicles. We're hiring. We have a number. If everyone makes it through the background process, we will be able to hire all 12 that were anticipated, and they will be out working. And then you will see in our budget request this year additional CARES unit officers that will be asked for.
And then what calls for service will they be able to respond to versus our police officers taking the workload off of them?
Initially, they will be responding to, like today would be a perfect day to have them on the street when we have so many wires down, flooding in the city, trees down. Officers that may be sitting on those are able to be freed up, and we'll put CARES units on there. They'll be going to roadway obstructions. They'll be going to traffic control incidents. certain car accidents. We're going to assess that initially, and then we're going to look for some lower-level police reports that can be taken as well, so citizens may not have to wait as long. That is a model being used by neighboring jurisdictions as well. So this is something we're excited about. If you look at other agencies across the country, they're growing the number of civilians under the recruiting challenges that are present currently in the nation. So this is, you're going to see them soon. They're green and they're white. Go check our social media out. You will see the trucks, but they're going to start their pilot program as soon as these officers get out of training, and then they'll be moved to the other areas of the city.
And then pausing on the questions for a minute, just for a compliment, wanted to talk up the Connect Atlanta program. I was actually called, I've registered my cameras at my home, and was contacted about 2 weeks ago or so by an investigator. Unfortunately, there had been a car break-in about 3 or 4 houses down from me, and that investigator called me, and I wondered what I did this time. But
This time?
he saw my house was registered and called to see if I had any footage, and unfortunately I did not. But was glad that that program, seeing that program in action.
Okay, very good.
How, and this was not on the presentation, but I know we've talked about this before, and hopefully, and I don't know if you looked at our goals and objectives, but this was added to our goals and objectives. How important is it to APD and their operations, and the city really, for this council and this administration to overhaul our alcohol code, those recommendations that came from ATAC 3? How will that help APD?
We want to make sure we're equipped with the tools that keep Atlanta safe and reflect the current environment. And it's just not with the alcohol code, council member. There's many laws on the books that are probably outdated or reflect a time and a society that was present when it was drafted. And so anytime there's a reoccurring review of the alcohol code or any other statute, we would support that. Anytime there's giving tools to the Atlanta Police Department to be able to address bad actors and people that are not responsible with the liquor license give them, it just helps us do our job better. It helps us be more responsive to you, and it certainly helps us keep Atlanta safe. And so we would encourage any statute to be reviewed periodically, and that it reflect the challenges that we have here in Atlanta. Because I believe 2 things can happen at the same time. I believe we can be a vibrant city with a good nightlife, and I believe you can live in any neighborhood and not worry about where your house is next to. So if we can get that happy medium.
And then lastly, just an update, seeking an update on the zone and beat realignment. Where are we with that?
We're still waiting for our partners to return, sir. We have met with them. The product that we saw, we think needs some tweaking. I know we've been waiting for that now, but I think it's better to get it right than get it rushed. And so we're working to move that through aggressively. As soon as we feel like that it's correct and that they have done the division of labor among the beats, we'll be rolling that out.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Lewis.
And Chief, I wanted to make sure I did some research.
I can hear you, Councilman. Yes, sir. Your police department already has a NIBIN lab. It's present right here in the city. Most of the equipment is provided by the ATF, so I can arrange a visit of this body. We have very dedicated members of this department that each week are examining shell casings, projectiles, and weapons. It is a scientific-based national best practice model that is present right here in Atlanta. We're one of the few law enforcement agencies in the state that has its own gun tracing capability and lab We report to the national database. Each week we get a report back. The weaponry recovered, the shell casing, was it connected to another shooting in the city? And it's also across the country. I was the other day speaking with the chief of police in Middle Georgia, where one of his shootings had been connected to a weapon here in the city. So if you ever would like to visit, if this committee would like to go there, we would love to show you that capability. We have also been partnering with the ATF to bring in a mobile lab to actually work down the backlog that we considered, because you don't take 3,000 guns off the street and create a backlog, council member. And so I think it would be nice to highlight the work of our civilians and our sworn members in that lab, where you meet our lab director. She does a phenomenal job over there. We are wanting to add more staff and more capability and working with that in that area. But our NIBIN lab is very effective. It's working, and you all are invited anytime you'd like to visit there to make sure that happens. And there's been a couple news stories where our mayor has visited that lab, and so you can find that online as well, but we'll give you each your tour if you'd like to go there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, we do have a question. Will you please check on the status of the hazardous pay for our motor units? This body passed that legislation.
We will, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that well-done presentation. Thank you. And now we will hear from Atlanta Fire and Rescue Department.
Thank you all. Have a safe
Chief
week.
Roderick Smith. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Council members, it's my pleasure to be here today to present to you on behalf of Atlanta Fire Rescue. I'm the fire chief for the city of Atlanta to present the second quarter FY 24 update for you today. We'll start with our goals and objectives, which have not changed, which we will continue to provide the safest services possible to the city of Atlanta and ensure that the environment that our employees work in is safe as well. We'll continue to address all staffing and compensation issues and enhance our fleet and facilities while working with our council members to ensure that the compensation is competitive and that we are regularly reviewing the services that we provide and the conditions of the resources that the city provides our members. We'll start with our service metric, which looks at the total calls for service for the fiscal year. You will see that for the fiscal year, we have run 47,958 calls from July 1 through the end of 2023. For performance metrics, however, we look at situations found. Situations found are tied to reports that are done by our responders, which give us an accurate picture of the calls that we are running and what we are doing in the streets of the city of Atlanta. You will see our EMS call volume is inclusive and reflective of downtown and the airport. The call volume itself is up roughly 3.5% for EMS. Proud to say that our fire call volume is down 14.5%, as well as our hazmat is down approximately 12%, and other services are down 10%. As asked in our previous presentation, we were asked, because of the volume of calls and other services, could we break that out so that you could see what other services represents for Atlanta Fire Rescue? And so you will see that they are pretty self-explanatory, everything from false alarms to non-structured fire calls, as well as special calls or service calls supporting our partners in public safety, such as APD and corrections and other departments throughout the city. Here is just a snapshot for each of you to view to see what's going on in your respective districts. It is a heat map identifying the EMS calls as well as the fire calls so that you can see what is going on in your districts, and we are happy to have one-on-ones with you to discuss further in detail the activity in your districts, and that can be scheduled through my office. Next, just a snapshot to see what your men and women of your fire department are doing in the streets of Atlanta. This is a call that we ran on December 9th, where there was a large hotel that was reported on fire. Our members arrived within 6 minutes of being dispatched and were able to quickly extinguish the fire. And we are estimating that we prevented approximately $1.8 million worth of damage, and the building, because of the quick action of Atlanta Fire Rescue, was able to get back in service, containing the fire to the area of origin, and they were able to go back in service very quickly as a hotel. Next, we'd like to share the density of our being able to respond. So many times we've been asked, how many calls can we handle at one time? What you'll see here is just an example of the dedication and work of the men and women of Atlanta Fire Rescue, where you will see 2 fire calls that came out within 25 minutes of each other. And we had 2 legitimate working fires going on with possible people trapped. There were a total of 10 citizens that were rescued during the course of these 2 incidents. However, we had 2 that did not make it. However, I am very proud of the men and women of Atlanta Fire Rescue as they continue to run the roads and do the calls while we continue to focus on fires. Just a reminder that the majority of our calls overwhelmingly are in the EMS space. Next, you will see the service metrics as we look at our inspections, focusing on our downtown inspections. Those activities include night observations, liquor license permitting, special events, and building permits. You will see that for second quarter of 2024, that number is down, and it is down due to due to vacancies, not vacations. Vacancies, end of the year challenges, as well as holidays that have occurred during the course of that time. And so we will continue to work to, one, get the numbers back up by hiring actively in those civilian positions, as well as creating some new sworn positions to assist in that space. We're happy to announce the launch of our seasoned citizen task force, where we will be actively addressing code concerns that are in our senior facilities, assisted living, things of that nature. The overwhelming number of calls, and we've heard the cry of the citizens of the elevators not working properly, the alarm systems constantly going off, and them not having a voice or someone to contact. So we've created a task force so that we can start aggressively addressing those spaces for those elderly citizens. Next, you will see the second quarter hiring and attrition for AFRD. Looking at the sworn, you can see that we have a net gain of 9. For civilian positions, there will be a net gain of 7. Our vacancy rate overall is hovering still around 18%. Atlanta Fire Rescue currently has no issues or challenges with people applying to work with us. Our sticking point really is the number of people that we can train at one time. The maximum number of people that we can hold at the training center is 120. And so our goal is to make sure that we have 120 people in training at all times. And so we will continue to move in that direction. Next, I'm happy to share with you the capital purchases for Atlanta Fire Rescue for fiscal year 2024. The mayor and his administration have been very supportive of Atlanta Fire Rescue, and they continue to do so, to the sum of providing funding for $19 million for Atlanta Fire Rescue to address legacy challenges that we've had with providing equipment. I'm proud to say that we have ordered 2 jet boats to support our Swiftwater team. We're replacing all breathing apparatus and bottles for the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department, as well as we have received and are in the process now of training and replacing all cardiac monitors and all AEDs that are operational within Atlanta Fire Rescue. As it relates to addressing fleet, we are continuing on with our fleet replacement plan, where you will see that we have started the procurement process for 5 engines, 1 reserve ladder, and 1 custom TDA. Next, you will see continued purchases where we are utilizing the GMA funding that was provided by this administration. And we have already started the process to replace all of the command vehicles, as well as 3 EMS vehicles and 4 executive or administrative vehicles, which brings the total number of vehicles that we We'll be getting, including the past orders, to 34. This fiscal year, the number going to 21. Next, you will see on this slide where we monitor activity of our recruits. We recently had a recruit class to graduate. That was 23-1 with a total of 20 recruits. We have piloted a program of an accelerated recruit training program, getting lateral hires to come in. We had 3 members that were, we called it the ARC program. 3 members that graduated that were a part of that ARC program, which got through training in approximately 8 weeks as a hiring. Our next anticipated graduation will be in June of this year, 26 recruits thus far. And if they are successful, we will have an additional 26 that will be completing training in October of this year. Next, we'll talk about the facilities and the work that Dean has been putting in for Atlanta Fire Rescue. We're happy to share with you that we had our official ribbon cuttings this past week, opening our EMS Station 37, as well as our fire station number 36 over in the Princeton Lakes area on this past week. We are in the design phase with the 4 additional stations in which the T-SPLOST funding provided for us. Those stations are 25, 26, 30, and 31, with Station 30 being the first one that will come out of the ground, followed very closely, if not simultaneously, with Station 26, and then we will move to 25 and 31. We currently have renovations going on in Fire Station 14, and it is scheduled to be completed very shortly. I don't have a date on that, but as soon as we get dates from them, we will share those. And we're moving forward with our bay door replacement program, in which we are putting the same bay door in all stations across the city to increase or enhance our ability to do repairs and get parts in a timely manner. And last but not least, Station 22 is chugging. We're out well along, and we're happy to share with you, Councilmember Hillis, that we are anticipating that we will be getting possession of that station in early July of this year. So that has been a long time coming. Next, we'll share, obviously, our love for going and reaching out into the community. Our goal is to make sure that the members of the community know who we are before the red lights come on and before we start running the emergency calls. So it is very near and dear to us that we participate in the community events that are sponsored by our council members. And so if you have community events that you would like for us to participate in with you, please do not hesitate to reach out to my office, and we will continue assisting with the food drives, the career fairs, turkey giveaways, midnight basketball, smoke detector blitzes, you name it. We're here to get into the community when the calls are not going on. So thank you for that. Next, I'll share a couple of recent accomplishments for Atlanta Fire Rescue. I think I shared with you the commissioning of Station 36. We had our annual Christmas party at Station 16, in which we provided toys and meals for 500 children and their families. We continue to assist with the warming shelters. We had our first ARC training group that completed recently, as I mentioned. Atlanta Fire Rescue hosted the Fire Service Psychology illness. And so our goal through this program, which was initiated by the mayor's office and endorsed by our HR commissioner, to deal with first responders or public safety members' mental health on the front end. And so we don't want them to become a statistic. We want to get to them before they start having marital problems. They start getting to a point where they're losing their jobs. So it's an interactive space where we are, historically, we have already done our wellness program where we've done our physicals, and so now we're including that mental space in it as well. And so we have hired Dr. Moore to come back, and she's built a team around her of clinicians, and they will be dealing interactively with public safety, police, fire, and corrections. And last but not least, we hosted a car and bike show. Our goal is to make sure that our members spend time around each other when they're not in the station, get to know each other, and it creates a bond that carries itself over into responding to emergency calls. And so that fellowship is ongoing, and we are continuing to pursue that space. And with that, that's the end of my presentation, and I am happy to answer any questions that you may have today.
Thank you, Chief. Those were two wonderful events for Southwest Atlanta on last week, so congratulations to you and your entire team. Also, thank you all for the support that you all give these communities, especially our golden citizens, our seniors that are in need of the smoke detectors. So thank you, everyone, for that. Do we have any questions at this time? Vice Chair Dustin Hillis.
Chairwoman Boone, thank you, Chief Smith. First of all, just to comment on Station 22, spoke with Interim Commissioner Davis about speeding this along, and we're hoping to get it to you all a few months prior to July. So if you're going to trade up, I'll call him 1 week, and then you can call him next, and we'll just keep bugging him until we get that delivered maybe in May or something.
Understood. I got you.
On the capital purchases, on the slide 12 about the command vehicles, what are the 7 command vehicles? Are those the battalion chiefs or?
Correct. That is all of the battalion chief vehicles as well as the Division 1 car.
Or executive, chief?
2 other chiefs' cars, and well, actually, there are 3 other chiefs' cars, and we have a public safety communications director position.
On the page 11, the prior page, this FY24 capital purchases page, this just details legislation this council approved last fall, correct, that we worked together on?
Correct.
So I know that has, some of these have been received, as is noted, the cardiac monitors and AEDs. Some have rejected delivery dates. Have all of these been issued POs and ordered to date?
They are in the procurement process. I would have to check to see if they actually have the POs yet, but they are in the procurement process, everything on the list.
You update us on where we are with the POs that are needed to order, whether it's the jet boats, the breathing apparatus, the monitors, or the apparatus.
So I'll give you a quick update. Jadeep Majumdar, Chief Procurement Officer for City of Atlanta. We have placed order 3 POs that has a total of 6 equipment. The first PO had 6 of those. There was a PO for the second one and a PO for a Ford Explorer. We've also placed order for the boats. The boats are supposed to be here in few months with SJX jet boats. We have taken delivery of the defibrillators, AEDs, and it was delivered in December. So we have a total of 3 + 3, 6, 7 equipments. So we have a total of 7 equipment coming between August and October, and the ones that we placed this year in January would be coming towards the first half of next year.
Just to clarify,
Five pumpers and 1 apparatus ladder. That's part of one PO that was issued on 23rd of January. One fire apparatus ladder additional, another PO that was also ordered on January 23rd, and one Ford Explorer that was ordered on 19th of January. The breeding apparatus has, well, it's in the process of being issued.
Correct. So the specifications, we will continue with current specifications that we utilize to minimize that time. However, there's a conversation that we need to have. It is going before, but the price has increased anywhere from 20 to 30% in the vehicle. But we're prepared to order whatever funding, with whatever funding we provide. So we have submitted our request, and it's being considered for FY26. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns from the body? Thank you, Chief. You all have done a wonderful, wonderful job today. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your support.
Next, Director Talley, Code Enforcement. And also, we have been given a note that tomorrow we will be celebrating the retirement of Deputy Chief Timothy Peak tomorrow from 1 to 4 for all to attend. Thank you, Deputy Timothy Peak at the Public Safety Building. Director Talley, thank you.
And I can have this? Okay, great. We'll stay there. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Is it on? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and other members of the committee. I'm Daphne Talley, the Director of the Atlanta Police Department Code Enforcement Section. I will be providing the quarterly report today. I'd like to recognize a few of my colleagues that have joined me today. We have Deputy Director, the CAO, Marshall Freeman, as well as Captain Jeff Baxter, Deputy Director Laleen Parks, and Code Enforcement Senior Officer Tyon English. Today, we're going to be reporting out on the Atlanta Police Department Code Enforcement staffing levels, as well as the inspections data, compliance resolution activity, removing junk vehicles from private property, as well as our accomplishments for 2023 and initiatives for 2024. This slide, I want to discuss the retention and hiring levels in the Atlanta Police Department Code Enforcement section. And I'd like to pay close attention to the number of transfers as well as the number of new hires during this period. Between 2021 and 2023, 15 code enforcement employees transferred to other departments within the city of Atlanta. That included 3 code enforcement supervisors, 3 code enforcement senior officers, as well as 8 code enforcement officers. While other departments were paying their code enforcement agents $50,000 and above, we were recruiting code enforcement agents for below $40,000. But with the assistance of this committee, we were able to close the gap on the salary gap for our code enforcement officers. And armed with that, we were able to start recruiting for qualified candidates to continue our efforts within the code enforcement section. We participated in over 10 career fairs between April and September of 2023. At 2 events, we were able to pre-screen candidates and conduct on-the-job interviews. And out of that process, we were able to fill 16 code enforcement positions, including 15 code enforcement officer positions. These next two slides will actually show our progression during our hiring efforts for our code enforcement officers. We began 2023 with 9 code enforcement officers. 2 of those were out on injury, so we had 7 code enforcement officers in the field. Quarter 2, while we did onboard 1 officer, we lost another code enforcement officer to another department in the city of Atlanta, so we maintained the number at 9 code enforcement officers. Quarter 3 is when we began participating in all of the job careers. Also, that's when we received an increase for our code enforcement officers. So we were able to hire 7 additional code enforcement officers, bringing that number up to 16. And at the end of the year, we rounded off 2023 with 23 code enforcement officers, onboarding an additional 7. And not shown here on this screen, we've actually hired 2 more in January. Okay.
Excuse me, Director Talla, we have been given a message that we need everyone to speak in their mic so that the problem can be identified. We need everyone to speak in their mic. If you all were speaking, yes, right now. They want us to speak in your mic.
Test
Can you
1, 2,
turn
3.
this one on? I don't think this is on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sometimes I rhyme slow, sometimes I rhyme quick. Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
This is a $2 billion organization.
Hello?
Test, 1, 2, 3, test.
Remember, can you check the next one next to you?
Test.
The engineers are on here now, so. We think the problem has been identified. Director Talley, please carry on. Proceed. Thank you.
I don't know. It's on now?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're in good shape. We're in good shape.
I'm
now.
loud. I
Thank
don't
you.
think I'm this loud.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So again, I was saying that we ended the year with 23 code enforcement officers, and as of January, we added an additional 2, so we have 25 code enforcement officers. This next slide is our inspection data for 2023. That includes our initial inspections, our reinspection, and our court reinspections. And as you can see, again, showing the progression of our hiring efforts made a difference in quarter 3 because we increased the number of inspections to 28%. Now, as usual, quarter 4 inspections will go down because that's around the holidays, and so we have a lot of staff taking off for Thanksgiving and for Christmas break. The next slide will discuss our compliance resolution activity, known to you guys as our administrative in-rem proceedings. So in 2023, we completed 62 demolitions, which is down about 34% from 2022. We completed 19 clean and closes, which is around the same amount that we did in 2022, and completed 56 clean and cuts, again, down from 2022. We have also received 94 demolition orders in 2023 and 57 clean and close orders. And we have an additional 26 demolition projects that have been awarded to city contractors and is pending a permit. Also 10 clean and cuts that we've awarded that's pending completion. The next 2 slides, we wanted to show the committee how when code enforcement works after a demolition order has been issued. I know that has been a concern of the committee, but staff continues to work with these property owners even after the board has issued an administrative order to demolish these properties. The connection is we have to stay in communication with these property owners. We follow their permitting application to ensure that the permit is issued in a timely manner. We do random inspections to make sure that progression continues, and you end up with the results of these properties. Demolition orders were issued for both. However, today they are renovated and occupied. So today, we want to also report out on our removal of junk vehicles from private property. And we really wanted to show this slide. I know there was a lot of concern about APD going on to private property and removing vehicles. But as you can see, we started doing this in 2021. We've removed only 129 vehicles, but we've complied, 1,008. So we complied 8 times more vehicles than we actually towed. Next slide, we want to talk about some of our major accomplishments in 2023. Of course, I've already talked about the salary adjustments, and again, the team and I thank you guys for that support. We went from 9 inspectors, code enforcement officers, to 23, now to 25. We also created key positions to support our code enforcement efforts. We added another supervisor to the staff. We added also another senior code enforcement officer as well as an administrative assistant. We reduced the time to conduct initial inspections. Early 2023, it was taking us 2 weeks to get out to do an initial inspection. We were able to get that down the end of last year to 5 days. We also conducted 20 multifamily dwellings for the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative with limited resources. And lastly, we would like to discuss our 2024 initiatives. We were approved 13 extra help positions in 2024 and 2024. And as I mentioned, we hired 2 code enforcement officers in January. We also were approved to hire a project manager to assist us with the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative. 3 of those officers, code enforcement officers that we were approved for, will be dedicated to this particular team. We would like to improve our overall operations, as I stated. Pre-pandemic, the number of days that we conducted initial inspection was 2. We're down to 5, and we want to get back to those pre-pandemic measures. Also, we'd like to fill all of our code enforcement positions. That's not just our code enforcement officer positions. We have supervisor, we have management analysts, we have research and customer service reps. So we would like to fill all of those positions this year. Also, to amend the Atlanta Housing and Commercial Code. I know we've been working on this for quite some time, but it's a huge undertaking because whatever we're changing or revising in the housing code, we want to mirror that in the commercial code. Also, our goal is to procure vendors to identify mold within residential dwellings. You guys may recall that legislation was passed last year to allow code enforcement to do that, but we want to be able to ensure that we're able to identify that mold correctly, also determine how much mold is in the house and the location, and make sure that it is treated and removed in a timely manner. Also, we'd like to increase the number of our inspections by 20%. Having only 7 code enforcement officers in the field in 2023, we were unable to do as many proactive inspections as we've done in the past. So we'd like to increase that by 20% in 2024. And with that, that concludes our presentation. As always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your continued support. And we'll open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Director Talley. Any questions from the body? The Honorable Antonio Lewis, followed by Mr. Dustin Hillis, Vice Chair.
Director Talley, I just want to say thank you in District 12 for the work you've been doing. I see the increase. When you say that you went from one number to 23 and to 25,
yes.
I can see it, and I see the efficiency. The make and drive that we're working on, the moment we get our hands on the owner, I know we're going to fix that every single day myself. I get emails about it. I want to keep that there. And I'm also I don't know if Commissioner Wiggins has alerted you of this, but we have a lot of tires on Peg Road. Peg Road behind is literally behind off Metropolitan and Peg Road. The moment you make a left on across the street from the Zone 3 police precinct, it looks like a tire yard.
Okay. We'll reach out
Thank
to Commissioner Wiggins and get the location. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Hillis.
Thank you, Chairwoman Boone. Thank you, Director Talley.
Thank you.
On your 2024 initiatives, the fill all code enforcement positions, how many positions are left vacant right now, and are all of those vacancies currently fully funded?
So 4 are unfunded. I think we have a total of, I think it's 29, 27. I think it's 27 positions that are not filled, and 4 as of today are unfunded, but I know we made the request to fund those positions.
4 of
Those are
those 27?
4 of the 27, 2 research positions, and I believe 2 customer service. Yes, 2 customer service positions.
And are those, any mix of those jobs currently posted, or?
Yes, yes.
Then on the progress, I know you stated want to increase the number of inspections. I know one thing I would like to see, just based on past couple of years, and I know we're, especially in code enforcement, still recovering from COVID. We've lost demolition contractors, et cetera, but the length of getting these demolitions done, I mean, even when they get to the NREM board, they've usually been in the process for a few years, but I'm speaking specifically of from order to demolition. I had, and I haven't tracked all of them in my district, but I tracked one because I got an email about it every month, but
Yeah.
it was literally almost 12, maybe 14 months from order to demolition.
Right.
I know y'all have a lot of things you have to do, a lot of hoops
Outside
to
resources,
jump through,
yeah.
but I mean, there should be a 3, maybe 6-month process, and it has been double, if not more of that. So
Right.
what's the plan to get back on track with the demolitions?
So I know in December, you asked that question, and Ms. Jocelyn Lows did share with you that one of the hiccups that we had was with the Department of City Planning. We have since met with Doug Young, probably for the past 2 years. Instead of sending those requests over to the State Historic Preservation Office monthly, like they were doing, they were sending those requests over quarterly. So he is now going back to sending those on. He's committed himself to sending those monthly. So you should see a decrease in the time it takes to demolish.
Gotcha. And then related to that, I know we had I guess due to the holidays, the December and January interim hearings were canceled. Is there a plan in February, March to bring in more cases to make up for that cancellations?
Right. So that was the plan. So now we're back to Ms. Lows had 2 housing demolition officers rather on our staff, and one of the members lost his wife right before the holidays. So he has been out of the office. So you probably will see a decrease in the agendas. So I believe for February, I think they only have 10. So, but the goal is to increase the number of properties that we have listed on the agenda.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Director Talley.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the body? I do have a couple of questions, Director. On Bakers Ferry Road, we've been dealing with an ongoing issue. I can't remember the address.
Is it the
but
2
it's the
properties with?
yeah, Bakers
they're
Ferry.
back?
Yeah, will you please check on those again? They are a nuisance to the MPUH. Also, Atkins Road. If we could do something on Atkins Road.
The vehicles, the cars on
Yes.
it, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Atkins Road. Secondly, are your board, how are the vacancies on your board at this time?
9, we have all 9 members.
Oh,
So,
great.
Yeah. so they're
Congratulations
filled.
on that.
Thank
You
you.
have a lot of new energy. And are your meetings being televised?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
When are they airing?
Every 4th Tuesday, with the exception of November and December. It's every 3rd Thursday because of the holiday in November, December. But every 4th Tuesday at 10 a.m., we're here.
Thank you very much. And
Thank
thank
you.
you all for the work that you all are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our reports. If there are no other questions. Okay, everyone, I will make a motion to approve the favorable claims 1 through 6. We have a seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. These claims are found favorable.
I will make a motion to adverse the unfavorable claims 7 through 30. We have a second by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The unfavorable claims have been adversed. The section to our regular agenda, Section I, ordinance for second reading. Item number 124-01051, an ordinance by council members Andre L. Boone, Dustin Hillis, and Michael Julian Bond authorizing the mayor as designee on behalf of the Atlanta Police Department to accept the FY 2020 U.S. Department of Homeland Security Urban Areas Security Initiative grant from the Atlanta Regional Commission for the purpose of purchasing ballistic helmets an amount not to exceed $250,000.00, to authorize execution of any necessary grant agreements, to accept the award, to amend the fiscal year 2024 intergovernmental grant fund budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations an amount not to exceed $250,000.00. All funds will be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Do we have a motion? Moved by the Honorable Dustin Hillis, seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 224-01063, an ordinance by council members Michael Julian Bond, Dustin Hillis, Matt Westmoreland, Andre L. Boone, and Antonio Lewis, amend Chapter 2, Administration, Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code, Division 4, Source Selection and Contract Formation, Section 2-1216, currently reserved to establish the minimum requirements for off-duty post-certified law enforcement officers to be included in city contracts subject to the Procurement Code, to require that where necessary to comply therewith, contractors shall hire off-duty post-certified law enforcement officers employed by an agency having original jurisdiction over actions occurring at the location of contract performance and for other purposes. Madam Chair, this item will need to be substituted. I'll defer to the Law Department to speak on the nature of the substitute.
We have a motion by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland to bring forth the substitute and a second by the Honorable Dustin Hillis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you.
I will make a motion to approve on substitute. And the second by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is approved on substitute. Madam Chair, we need to refer this item to FEC Committee.
Thank you.
We need a motion to refer.
Moved by the Honorable Dustin Hillis, seconded by the Honorable Andrea Boone. Please proceed.
Give us one moment. Madam Chair, can you repeat the mover and seconder?
Hillis is the mover, Boone is the second.
Thank you. The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item has been referred to Finance Executive Committee. This takes us to our Section J resolutions. Madam Chair, can we take items 3 to 6 together as a block? If there's no objection from the committee, these are all settlement legislation.
Yes, please proceed.
Item number 324R3221, A resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against defendant City of Atlanta in the case of Donald DeGonzagwe and Thomasina DeGonzagwe versus City of Atlanta, ATL Hawks LLC, and Arena Operations LLC, civil action file number listed herein pending in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, in the amount of $15,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to the accounts numbers listed herein, authorizing Chief Financial Officer to distribute the settlement amount and for other purposes. Item number 4, 24R3222, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against defendant City of Atlanta in the case of Deirdre Buckles Alford and Corey Burke versus Ruby Collins Incorporated and City of Atlanta civil action file number listed herein, pending in the State Court of DeKalb County, Georgia, in the amount of $30,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from the account number listed herein, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to distribute the settlement in the amount and for other purposes. Item number 5, 24R3223, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against defendant of Atlanta, City of Atlanta, in the case of Jarnes Davis versus City of Atlanta, civil action file number listed herein pending in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, in the amount of $18,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from the account number listed, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to distribute the settlement amount and for other purposes. Item number 6, 24R3224, resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement amount of all claims against defendant City of Atlanta in the case of Melvin Evans Jr., Daniel Killian, and Michael Perkins versus City of Atlanta and Garrett Rolfe, pending in the United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta Division, civil action file number listed herein, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed herein, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to distribute the settlement amount and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Madam Chair, we need a motion to approve all 4 items.
Do we have a motion? Moved by the Honorable Dustin Hillis, seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable.
Mr. Johnson, do we have any items coming off held?
Yes, Madam Chair. Item number 20 on page 14. May I please sound the caption? Item number 2024C5000, a communication from Daniel Hampton, Chair, Audit Committee, submitting the Performance Audit Report, Municipal Court. The Auditor's Office presented on January 29th at the last Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee meeting. Due to a lack of quorum, the committee could not vote on this item, so the motion is to accept and file.
Any motion at this time? Moved by the Honorable Amir Faroki, seconded by the Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is accepted and filed. Madam Chair, that concludes our legislative items for today.
Do we have any concerns, questions, or comments from the body? At this time, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.